Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Big Money Stylist podcast. You look cute. I look like a hot mess.
Oh my gosh,
like
thanks.
your hair looks all nice. I have a special guest inside of my podcast today. She's actually one of my licensed MBR artists, Christina Fuentes.
Hello.
I was like, I'm gonna fuck up your last name. I just know it, but I
Super
didn't.
easy.
Right?
No, it was perfect.
I did it. Woohoo!
It's perfect.
I just got home from Paris last night, and
I saw that.
was awake for like 20 straight hours. And then this morning I woke up and I was like, okay, the option is the triple barrel. So like,
Well, it's good. It's cute. I love
it's
it.
fine. I was like, that's all I have time for today. I had like kids and shenanigans and
Yeah,
all
I
the
know.
things, but I'm excited. I always, whenever we have students in town, I'm like, ooh, Rachel, like, see if anybody will do a podcast. And it's so funny because we always have students who are like, I don't want to, but I will.
Yeah, I think I look like a deer in the headlights. Like, okay,
No,
I can't say
you're-
no to Danielle.
You're
yeah,
fine.
let's
I'm
do
just,
it.
I'm just gonna ask you, like all your childhood stories and just kidding.
It'd
Not
be kind
really.
of boring, but
No, I just I like to get to know my artists inside the academy, and I actually find the other artists listening to this podcast. I've gotten so many comments that are like, I love the Big Money Stylist podcast. And I feel like now everybody has a podcast.
yeah, they do.
Like everybody and their dog has a podcast. and a lot of people will reach out and try to get like big names on their podcast. Guess who I get on my podcast?
you get me.
I get and
not kidding.
No, you guys are the best. Like I would rather have like my students and
Yeah,
like
for
just
sure.
like you guys sharing your story because I feel like that's more relatable and impactful. So
Mhm.
tell us where you're at. Where are you out of right now?
I am in Madeira, California.
Okay.
So it's like literally smack dab in the middle, the armpit of California.
How far of a drive is that?
So from here, it's probably about 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
Close to Fresno,
Okay.
30 minutes or so from Fresno. I just recently opened my studio in Madeira
Oh, nice.
to be closer to home. I worked in Fresno for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So making that transition to move back home was like,
Where is
very
Madeira
scary.
home?
yes, now it is.
Oh, okay.
My husband was born and raised there. I'm from Stockton.
Okay.
Long story short, our parents kind of got us together, and
Oh, really?
yeah, so 17 years later, we're
Do you guys
well,
have-
we're gonna be 17 in May.
Do you guys have babies?
We do. Well, a 14-year-old Aubriella
Nice.
and an 11-year-old Michael.
Nice.
So they're getting big.
Yeah, it's like they're not babies
They're not
anymore.
babies
they're
anymore.
like preteen and teen.
I know. I was talking to Addie, and I said, "Oh, my son still has that little boy voice, and I don't
Aw.
want it to go away."
Boys always take like longer to mature. I feel
Yeah.
like I have all girls, but like by the time they're 12, everyone's like, "Are they 17?" Because they all have like legs for days and
Yeah.
they look
I
older.
know my
but-
daughter's taller than me already, so
So why did you go back to Madeira? Like other than being close to family, like how did were your kids okay with it or?
they were so excited.
Oh,
They
really?
wanted me closer to home. So, 2020, everybody got thrown a loop.
What do you
I
mean
never-
closer to home? Did you?
So I
Were-
worked in Fresno.
Oh, okay.
So I was commuting every day
Oh, you
for like 35 to 45 minutes when I'd have to
Okay.
work. So before 2020, totally fine.
Yeah.
After 2020, made me think, I
So
need
you
to
didn't
be home
physically
more.
move. You lived in the same place. You were
I
just
lived. I was commuting.
Okay.
Yes. And so it took me about a year or so to get the confidence to do it because I'm like, my clients aren't going to follow me.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of you, like
Mm.
the cows, and
Yeah.
because I went from a big city to the cow.
Yes.
Like we're very rural. So
It's the small town artist mentality.
yeah. So
Yeah. How's it going? When did
it's
you?
great. All
Okay.
my clients followed me.
Yeah.
So
45 minutes is not that big of a deal, isn't it crazy?
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So definitely had to get out of my head, and it's been great. I work 2 days a week, and I
Mm.
get to be home all the time. Like
Yeah. And you're probably like what
I'm
10 minutes? Yeah.
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 So
It
I get
makes
to
a
pick up the
difference.
kids, and my daughter plays tennis. My son plays soccer. So I get
Mm.
to go see, more of their activities, and it's just nice.
yeah.
I feel like
You feel
I
like a
can
weight's
breathe.
been lifted.
Yes.
I think too, it's like the 45 minutes doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you have kids, it's the difference of like making dinner or getting home when dinner's done.
Exactly.
Like really. And then it's like you feel like you missed out on this like crucial hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is something to be said about like being close, but like giving yourself permission that like, hey, my clients will follow me. I am worthy.
Mhm.
Like I've got this story in my head. I always tell people, I'm like, I literally drive. Like if I find somebody I like, I drive almost an hour, 50 minutes just to get my Botox done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, I'm like, I don't care. Like I know
Yeah.
she does a great job. So I think that it's kind of sometimes I hear this a lot from artists, especially that live in smaller towns, that they're like, they always say, well, can I do MBR because I live in, XYZ town? And I'm like, yeah. So it's so funny because I share this story a lot, but I want to share it because you're sharing your story about like a little bit of my backstory. Like I started my brand in a small town. Now the small town has kind of gotten a little bigger. I started in Gilbert, Arizona. But when I did start it there, I lived literally, I got a job in Scottsdale that was 45 minutes away.
Mhm.
And the night before I was supposed to start, I was like, something in my soul was like, don't do it. And I called and I was like, hey, I can't accept this job. She was kind of irritated. And I was like, whatever. And I found a studio suite literally in walking distance from my neighborhood. I got to take my kids to school every morning and I built my brand in this tiny little salon spa studio. But what I had to do is I started to think outside of not just marketing within people that live 10 minutes from the salon. I had to open up my mind to marketing to people in Scottsdale. And then from Scottsdale, I had to open up my mind to being like, well, what if people wanted to fly in?
Yeah.
With me deciding to make that shift in my mindset, within 6 months of living to Gilbert, Arizona, not one person in Gilbert came to me. They were all from Scottsdale, all from Phoenix. And I would say like 30% of them were flying in and then driving 45 minutes to come to me. So whenever I hear that from an artist where they're like, well, I live in Tooele, Utah. And I'm like, well, let me share a story with you. So I know it is possible. It comes with making that flipping that switch in your own mind, and then also backing it with great marketing and the experience inside of your salon.
Yeah.
So if you can market like a beautiful experience, I'm that client that's gonna want to drive and come see you, like because you deliver an outcome and you deliver a really good experience.
Yeah. I try to make my studio nice and cozy.
Yeah, I love it.
And an
Did you
experience.
design it and do something cute? Or?
So it's funny. I had reached out to this girl last year, I believe, and she's like, "No, I'm sorry, we're not set up for a hairstylist." And then fast forward, I liked one of her posts again, and she's like,
Hey,
"Are you still interested?" Because we have a break room that we don't use, and I was like, "Okay, let me come check it out." And so we did, and it's probably like 100 square feet, but I made it work, and it's perfect. And they do nails and eyebrows and lashes, so I'm the only hair extension person in there. So,
and it's crazy about timing, and it might be something that you grow out of, but for right now, it's probably perfect.
Right now.
Yeah,
and they're so good. They're like just so sweet.
yeah,
The energy's really good.
So, how long have you been in the industry?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's just say I started beauty school in 1998, I believe.
Serious?
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing your hair that long?
Yes.
Well, you look so young. I was like, what? I stopped counting after 20 years. People like, how have you been doing hair? I'm like, shit, if I say 20 years, it really ages me.
I'm just 20 plus at this point.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I always say. So have you been actively doing hair the whole time? Nice.
I have, yeah. I assisted for like 2 years and then just went out on the floor and just worked every day. And then I started NBR in 2018. So I was like BMS Con 2.
Okay.
So I've been here since then.
Did you offer hair extensions before?
I did.
Okay.
A lot of people came to me for extensions, but I was doing all the other kinds. And
what have you seen change in your just your everyday working day from switching from offering a bunch of different systems to switching to just MBR?
I feel like totally lost my train of thought right now.
Well, it's funny because I was on a call with a girl this morning and she does she wants to join the academy and she does 19 different methods. And I was like, why are you offering 19 different methods? I was like, honestly, if I'm a client, I always use this comparison. I'm like, if I'm a client that's looking for a rhinoplasty, I'm not going to go to a doctor who's offers every cosmetic surgery. I'm like, I want the person who does the best rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
So I was telling her, I'm like, an extension specialist is not going to help you in your marketing. If you're looking to acquire 100% of your clientele, extensions or MBR, you've really got to niche down in your marketing. So like when you were offering extensions, once you decided to do MBR, like what percentage of your clientele is MBR right now?
Pretty much all of my clientele is MBR. I don't do any of the other methods. I felt like I just wanted to perfect this one, and this is what I offer, and the outcome is, I mean, I can't find anything better.
Yeah.
So
it's almost easier, I feel like, just to offer like one system. Because I found in my career, before I launched my brand, because, you know, we've been in the industry for 20 plus years. I literally would like do a hodgepodge, I call it a hodgepodge, of like different systems. I'd be like some of the glues here and some tapes here and some weaves here and like whatever. And it was like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And then clients would come in, they're like, can you do a gazillion bonded ones? And I felt like I was missing out on a lead. So I'd get certified in all these systems because I'm like, well, somebody asked, so I should get certified in that. And I hated doing it. I was like, I would like cringe. And so the minute I decided, I'm like, I'm only offering this, and I honed in on my marketing message of like, I'm not offering 20 different, I'm not an extension specialist. Yeah. That's when I started to actually see success. So I like to hear it from, you know, obviously I assumed because you're a licensed artist that you're doing like at least 90% of your business. Yeah. So it's like, it's cool to hear like through the program that you were able to do that. Before you started the program, was it kind of cut like a little bit of everything?
I did, I did kids cuts, men's cuts, just touch-ups. Like I did everything, all the random things, all the different extensions, the tapes, the individuals, like everything. And everybody was always like, Christina, you're so good at extensions. And I'm like, I know, and I love them, but not a lot of people want them.
Right.
And then
because you're offering everything.
Yeah. And so I saw something, and I watched your video, and I was like, this is what I need to do. Yeah. Because I found the most joy in that. Yeah. Because I'm like, it's such a quick, instant, like, gratification. Yeah. And it just makes you feel makes you feel so good. And so I just liked seeing that.
What do you love most about, it's funny that you would say that. I was in a council call just barely, and I was like, you guys, like, you're selling hair, but you're selling a transformation, and you can't put a price on like this transformation, how a woman like goes home and how they feel. And I love that how you're like, it's not instant gratification, but it's the biggest transformation when it comes to hair. And it's very gratifying as an artist to literally not only transform someone's hair, but it transforms their lives. Right. Like, tell me about some of your like client experiences.
I get a lot of women, they're, you know, in their 40s, and our hair just gets thinner and,
I don't know what you're talking
finer and
all the things.
All the things, chemical cuts, and just...
Like it just doesn't grow anymore.
It just doesn't grow. I just had a client come in, and when she first saw me, her hair was really short. She's like, it never grows past my shoulders, blah, blah, blah. So we did 2 rows. We graduated her to 1, and then now her hair is just like
it's long.
It's long now, and she's like, it's never been this long before. But it's because I, you know, educate her on what to do at home, and it's just amazing that I can help people like
kind of transform. Yeah. I think that's what a lot of artists. Well, good artists, I think that's what they love doing, is they love like making the client happy and kind of like seeing that transformation. So what are your goals right now like, are you just kind of like in a place where you're like, you're good, you're like close to your family?
Yeah, I feel like right now I'm kind of just settling in. I'm happy. I work 2 days. I have my couple clients a day, and I just see where it goes from here.
Kind of, are you wanting to work? That's the thing too, is like, I'm sure if you've been doing hair for 20 plus years, like we've kind of hit those pockets of burnout, right? Where it's like, I've done that, like work 9 days a week.
Yeah.
Like you're like, why do I hate my job so much? Yeah. And it's almost like, for me, like when I hit the burnout phase, like my work quality goes down. So now I'm very much like a numbers person, and quality over quantity. And so for me, I'm like, that's when I like literally, I was like, I only want to physically work behind the chair 3 days a week. Yeah. And I only want to take 8 to 9 clients a week total. Some artists, like I'll see they're funny, but funny reels where they're like, me after the 18th client. And they're like on the floor. And
I don't ever want to be that way.
I want to like DM them and be like, I can help. Like, but I'm like, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. But that's like the truth behind our industry.
Yeah.
Tell me about like, have you ever had, when did you feel like you were in burnout phase in your career?
Gosh, I would say right before I found NBR, but then also during it because I was trying to get so many. And then I finally got there and then I let everybody go and then I kept my NBR and then
were you doing starting, like, when you say like you're kind of, were you taking all the services plus adding NBR? Oh, so you weren't eliminating.
I wasn't eliminating.
You're still doing men's haircuts and like doing
it. And then I'd come in my day off. And I'm like, I wanted to build my NBR before I felt comfortable enough to let them
It's hard to let it go, right?
It is hard to let go because I had clients that I had been seeing for like 12, 15 years.
How did you let them go? What did you do?
So I basically...
Share the secrets. She's like, I text message fired them.
I actually voice memoed each one personally, you know, because...
This is a question I get a lot.
I know. And like, I never share like how I did
it. No, because I literally get this question all the time. Like, how do I fire a client? I'm like, just fire him.
Yeah, it was not easy for me. I hate confrontation. Yeah. And so I'm like, how can I still make it personable?
But be like, I'm not working on
it. I'm not like,
so
oh, by the way, today's your last appointment. Like, no, I couldn't do that. So I'm like, just to let you know, I just came back from my NBR class and I'm going to shift some things. I want to focus on, you know, extensions only. Right. I will honor your next appointment. So your next appointment, I will have all the information for you for a new stylist. And
I love that you sent out a voice memo. No, seriously, like if you guys are listening to this podcast, that is like brilliant because there's this personal touch and tone versus text, right? Like if you deal with your clients via text or email and you get even like a email, it's like, attention clients, well, I'm now doing a price increase.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. I feel like that is so unpersonal. Anytime I personally made a price increase even, I would just do it face to face. I'd be like, hey, this is your price for today. Although I raised my prices next time this, but I'm going to honor your current prices, right? Like I'm a very personable person, but I love even the idea, like if you're kind of like, I don't know how to tell them in person. Yeah. I would encourage you guys not to just send them a text and be like, hey, I have, like, send them a nice audio so that they can hear the tone. Yeah. And then it's like a matter of like, you've kind of broken the ice so they already know. So your next appointment, you're not on a nervous date. Yeah. Like, I got to dump them. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah. I think that was my thing. I was like, I wanted to like break the ice, but I still wanted to see them again. And then, so it was just like, hey, Danielle. Yeah. Just letting you know, like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then when they came in, it was more easier. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a very like professional, classy way to do it. And we still do that to this day at my salon. It's like, it's not even, I think we get in our head about things as artists of like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. But I always say, like, this sounds cold, but your clients, although we love them, we love the transformation, they are a business transaction, like, truthfully. And when you kind of like, for me, because I love people and I love my clients, for me, when I've had to make hard decisions, like either cutting out services or raising my prices, I literally have to kind of get out of my feelings and be like, do the facts. Like, truthfully, like we teach this all the time, facts over feelings.
Facts over feelings.
Because you can make like executive decisions based on the facts, like of being like, hey, if I cut down to work 3 days a week instead of working 5 days a week, I get to see my babies. And that is more important to me than having a tough conversation with a client. Yeah. But because we're avoiding confrontation, we will burn ourselves out to the ground and miss out on time with our family until it's too late, until we are like, fuck it, I don't want to do hair anymore. So that's why I love like hearing like what was your process, because it's truthfully a story, like a question I get all the time. How do I fire a client? I'm like, I mean, just
do it.
Just do it.
I know.
So I love that.
Side note, do you remember running into me in San Diego?
I don't know. Was I at a concert?
Yeah.
Was it at the Morgan Wall? I was like, wow, I had a lot of tequila that night. So there was a few people I ran into, and I was like, at what phase in the night did I run into you? Because it was the early hours.
It was right before,
Was it where we're eating dinner?
You guys were leaving,
Oh,
and
okay.
we had left dinner
Oh,
too.
I do
So we were
remember
like
now.
crossing. I was like,
Yeah.
Danielle.
I literally, Garrett and I, like, I feel like I'm like pretty like put together, and then we go to a concert or this the weekend, and I'm like, time to let loose.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah,
that's
we were all
funny.
there.
That was a good
It was
concert.
a good time.
I've been listening to Morgan Wallen all summer. I wasn't a fan, and then I went to his concert, and I'm like immediately like driving down the road listening to country. I'm like, who am I?
I know. I'm the same. Yeah, I was always like rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I did not like country. And
Yeah.
my husband loves country. And last summer he just played Morgan Wallen. Like,
Yeah, all of a sudden that's
every day.
Literally.
And so I'm like, yay, Morgan Wallen.
I know. I'm from Utah, so like I have a little bit of country background, but like yeah, this whole summer I'm like blasting in my convertible Morgan Wallen. I'm like, yeah, down PCH. I'm like, I don't care. But it's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. I know these are kind of like short podcasts, but I like to. For me, it's like an opportunity to get to know my students more. Like, what's your story, and hear like the evolution of an artist. And it's just cool to hear like you've been doing hair forever. You have kids. You now are like close to your kids. You're kind of starting over, but not really. Sometimes it's like when you feel like you have that fresh start, it's like a weight is released.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, even though I might be like a tiny bit slower, I'm in a smaller space, it feels where I should be now.
Yeah, I have so much joy now. Like,
yeah.
just
You can't
I'm
put a
happy
price on
now.
that.
Yeah.
Like literally, like success is not determined by how full your books are.
Yeah.
Like truthfully. And if you're an artist listening to that, like let that resonate for a minute, because what our industry teaches is that burnout is okay. And what we teach as artists and as a community is like, we want you to love the people and the art and give a phenomenal service. But ultimately, like you want to love your life.
Yeah.
And you can't put a price tag on that. Like, I'd rather make a little bit less if I have more time with my babies. Like even to this day, Garrett's always like getting after me because I have four babies.
Yeah.
And my second two are still babies. And he's like, you need to get more into the trenches. You need to get. I'm like, babe, I work like 20 hours a week right now. Like that's perfect for me. I'm like, I don't want to miss out on time with my babies. It's I can't replace that later.
Yeah.
Right? If my company moves a little bit slower for a second, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you can't get back that time.
Yeah.
So
I know. And I feel like it's okay to have, you don't have to be always like one after one after one. It's okay to have those little breaks.
I always say seasons of hustle in life. Like never stop, right? Like never stop, because if you kind of stop, you kind of regress. But just have moments where you can like hustle a little bit and then breathe a little bit. Yeah. You know? So anyways. Well, thank you so much for tell me your salon and your Instagram handle.
Christina Angeline is my Instagram, Christina_Angeline, and my little studio is called Stitch Hair Atelier.
And are you accepting new guests?
I am. Yeah.
She's like, maybe.
I am.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends.
Well, if we mesh well, yes.
Yeah. See, I love that. You're like, no, if I want you as a client, I'll let you know. But truthfully, like, yeah, if you're in a space where you're doing hair, you're like, I only want to work on people that are a good fit. So I love that. And that's another thing in our industry. We're taught to take any and every service.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately, that doesn't actually lead to success either. So. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's podcast. If you want more information on my education, I have an academy program that teaches business marketing, sales, and mindset, as well as the tool of Natural Beauty Row hair extensions. It's something that I'm extremely passionate about, not just giving the artist another certification, but living a life that they ultimately love and having a skill and a craft that they love as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Go to nbr.education, or you can also follow me on social media. Go to Danielle K. White, and we'll see you every Tuesday on a new episode of the Big Money Stylist podcast. Bye.
Bye.